The following is a presentation of FNX Network, fnx.network.
On this episode of Casual Mode, things are changing. Oh my god! We've got some passings to note in the world of entertainment. In video games, we'll talk about a very interesting moment from Dragon Ball Z universe. A Money in the Bank review. That's right, it's finally not time displaced. And as always, silly news and dumb tweets. It's Casual Mode number 18 for September 15th, 2015, and it starts now. It's Casual Mode with Jeremy and David, episode 18 for June 15th, 2015. Operation Sandbox. Hello everybody and welcome to Casual Mode, the podcast for geeks of all trades and masters of none. I am your host, Jeremy, and with me as always is my little brother, my tag team partner, and the Chris Pratt to my Velociraptor, David.
Wait, I'm the Velociraptor?
No, you're the... It's a Jurassic World reference. Never mind.
Fine.
Anyway, on today's show, we are starting to do something a little bit different this week.
Oh, we're shaking things up, all right.
Yeah, it's a little something that I've alluded to on Twitter that we are affectionately referring to as Operation Sandbox, because it is somewhat inspired by the, open-world nature of quote-unquote sandbox games out there.
We've heard feedback from you guys that our podcasts are too damn long.
Which, especially with the last one being nearly 3 hours.
10 seconds shy of 3 hours, no less.
So, what we're doing is, for those of you who are listening to this on the MP3 version, nothing will change. You will still get the 3-hour podcast that you have been listening to, because God knows you have ears of steel.
With the one exception that things are going to get very jumbled up for you.
Yeah, the only difference for you is that segments are going to shift around a little bit, but for the YouTube audience, it's a whole different ballgame, because, as David said, in order to keep things a little bit faster paced for those of us with attention span problems, we are chopping the segments up and releasing them across the week, as opposed to all squished into one big old 2 to 3 hour block of, oh dear God.
Yeah, starting next week it'll be starting on Thursdays. Today it's going to be starting Fridays. So we're going to have something for you guys on Fridays, we got something for you guys on Saturdays, and we'll have something for you guys on Sundays. And I believe that's going to be it, actually, for this week.
Yeah, and of course, if we do come up with things for minis, which this coming week we probably will, because E3 is coming, so we'll probably have a lot to talk about there, then, of course, we'll still do minis, as natural. Things like the Wrestle Roll Rewind will be their own segment by itself, maybe cut into multiple parts, but still segments by themselves. So, the amount of content you're getting overall from a time perspective does not change. It's just how you're getting it. It's a little bit... It's more kind of snacking throughout the week as opposed to getting one huge, big banquet meal.
Which I know there are some of you that actually did try to listen to us through the 3 hours, to which I apologize. But seriously... What the hell, man? That's like a part-time work shift.
And to be honest, recording that all in one shot sometimes does also get a little draining on David and I, especially David, because he has a job, whereas my job right now is this. Not for lack of trying.
Yeah. And also, I won't be talking through the social media segments. I'll be putting up a social media segment at the very end of each video on YouTube.
Right. But,
which is, by the way, casualmodepodcast.com.
Indeed.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, I don't know. Plenty of SoundCloud, FNX Network.
And also a little shout out to my big brother Robert, who you have sometimes heard on this show as the official postseason sports correspondent. He has actually done a podcast of his own, separate from Casual Mode, but I want to give him a little shout out. SoundCloud.com/Kyle's Comments, Keils Comments. His podcasts are much, much shorter than ours have been, so he has already taken lessons that we have learned the hard way to heart. So he just talks about whatever's pretty much on his mind, kind of a general format rant podcast. So,
Well, moving on.
we have some melancholy news this week.
Lots, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, we've had 3 major passings, one of which we are going to talk about later in the week when we talk about wrestling. Of course, and actually I'll just go ahead and mention, we're going to talk about him in depth on the wrestling segment, but unfortunately we lost one Virgil Runnels, better known commonly as Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Unfortunately, he passed earlier this week. Also, those who have watched classic horror movies, or those of us who've loved the Lord of the Rings movies, or even some of us who, for God help us, struggled through all 3 of the Star Wars prequels, Sir Christopher Lee, I should say, very famous actor, has unfortunately passed on this week. 93 years old, was still kicking to his dying day, and Christopher Lee is probably still figuratively, but almost literally, the most heavy metal person that ever lived. Not just because of some of the roles that he played, some of the villains that he played, but before he became an actor, he fought in World War II as a member of the SAS, which is British Secret Services. In fact, he was even a part of a secret organization within that called, and this is just incredible, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. That is just so British and so awesome and scary.
Sounds like it came right out of a Doctor Who show, if you ask me.
It's so non-specific that it just leaves it to your imagination the kind of things that they would have gotten up to in the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Also, he has actually been a heavy metal artist. In fact, aside from doing a heavy metal album by himself, he actually made a rock opera based on, I think, his distant ancestor, Charlemagne. And in fact, in the show notes, we're going to have a link to one of the songs from that rock opera entitled The Bloody Verdict of Verdun, or The Blood of the Saxon Men as an alternate title. So, very well-rounded guy. And in many ways, he's one of those that we wish had been immortal, but even mortality has come for him. So,
Rest in peace, man.
this one is probably going to be a lesser-known one to most of you, and I'm not going to have pretense and say I knew who this was before I found this out this week, but as a music history geek, I had to call attention to this one. Jazz legend Ornette Coleman. He was very influential, specifically in the form of freeform jazz. His whole philosophy of life involved, among other things, playing outside of the typical Western, the Western tonal scale. Going to other countries and finding other tonal scales and incorporating that into his jazz, and having having people play together without necessarily playing in the same key, but still sounding awesome. So we've got a link to his obituary in the show notes. A little bit brighter news now. Free RPG Day is coming on June the 20th. It's where you can go into your local game store and pick up like starter versions of various different RPGs, or some of them will be giving out free PDFs online. During this day, which I realize is during the middle of E3, so it's a very, very busy weekend, an Alzheimer's research organization is doing a charity game stream. Because, of course, playing games is one good way to keep the brain active and help someone who has Alzheimer's not lose so much of themselves, and also help keep your brain active to where that may prevent Alzheimer's. So, good cause for that. We've got the link to that, all the information for that, in the show notes. Go and support them, because we like good causes around here.
Speaking of streams, did you know that YouTube is actually going to start their own version of Twitch very soon?
Yeah, I saw that. They're really gearing more towards gamers with some of their initiatives that they're coming with. YouTube Gaming is what it is called.
Yeah, let me get me some of that.
Yeah, I've already followed their Twitter handle at YouTube Gaming. Yeah, we are going to figure out how to get that set up to where we can maybe do some.
I got dibs on Super Mario RPG. So Legend of the Seven Stars. I got dibs on it.
Awesome. I mean, I love that game. I've played through it all the way myself. It's incredible. Going back a little bit to also talk about good causes. If you have not been paying attention to my continuous blatant shilling on Twitter, among other things, you may have definitely at least have seen on our website and on the YouTube page that David did a video advertising a GoFundMe campaign that we have. And I would just like to set the record straight on my end of this. I did not know he was going to do this.
No, you did not. I left it as a surprise.
And in fact, had it not been for my older brother being a little bit of a blabbermouth, I probably would not have found out about it until the video went up on the Casual Mode page. But I've talked with David about it, and I've read his little notes on the description on it, and why he's doing that. It's so that we can make sure that our technology is as up to date as we can get and in proper working order, especially for me, because one lovely morning I woke up to hear my laptop hard drive going and my computer was frozen.
Is it still doing that?
It has not done that again. But right. For those of you not so inclined with computer tech type things, that is the sound that mechanical hard drives make to let you know that they are not long for this world. Of course, if you have a solid state hard drive, you don't even get, the courtesy of anything like that. It just boom. But mechanical hard drives at least have the courtesy to say, "Hey, dumbass, take it easy on me for a while, won't you?" So I have been doing that, and we are doing this GoFundMe primarily to upgrade my laptop, not just to save its life, but also so that I can do lovely things like be able to be on video, and so that if we are doing streams type stuff, I can join in and not have to worry about my CPU bursting into flames.
Well, if you want to help us out, it's GoFundMe.com/Casual Mode Podcast. This is the first time that we've actually been just like shooting it out in the open. So yeah, please come help us out if you possibly can. Even just a little bit of money will help. $5 would help out, definitely.
Yes, we would like to cordially invite you to give us your money.
And also, the winner of the giveaway has been decided. I will tell you all at the end of the show who it is.
Awesome. So, as we mentioned earlier, things are a little bit different around here. So, coming up next is silly news and dumb tweets. What?
Yeah, go with it.
Okay, fine. Operation Sandbox is go. Silly news and dumb tweets in just a little bit.
Hey everyone, this is David. Like what you hear? Check us out on the internet at casualmodepodcast.com, on Facebook at facebook.com/casualmodepodcast, any one of our social media links, and of course, click on the little subscribe button below. Thanks!